knowing the history of the sport and respecting that, how much do you pay attention to the generation kind of behind you and seeing, have you kept your eye on any one fighter or any or couple in particular that you see that could have longevity and actually kind of speak to the idea that you have who understand the history of the sport in that way?
Past fighters?
No, the ones in the generation after you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that are still in it?
You're still in it.
I am still in it. Yeah, I don't know of too many because I don't get to have those kind of conversations with everybody. But I hope people are paying attention and learning because I think it's important. But at the same time, it's crazy how fast this sport is evolving, and you have to stay current, and you have to learn from the past, but you also have to be very present in the present because it's evolving so fast. I feel like I've been telling people this for a while. I learn more from my students and the guys under me than any coach right now because the game's evolving that fast. If you're not watching the UFC every week and in the gym, you're going to be a dinosaur in 3 years. So I feel very fortunate that I stay around the 20-year-olds and the up-and-coming guys, and that's what's kept me youthful and kept me in the sport.
Just kind of staying with that, recently Fight Inc. debuted on Roku and it went through some of the history of UFC and actually really paid attention to matchmaking. How much do you as a fighter pay attention to the growth of the organization and kind of like how does that impact you that the business has changed so much since you became a fighter?
Well, it affects us a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm fighting, I'm coaching and managing, so I have to pay attention to it a lot. I love that it's becoming more stable across the board and that it keeps growing. I think that's going to be better and better. So the way I see it is that's more fighters that are going to be able to, retire comfortably when they're done fighting. One thing I've seen a lot of is a lot of fighters that just made a lot of poor choices and they get cut from the UFC and maybe their morale is a little low, and that's something that I really try to teach my guys is like how to prepare for the future, how to build off your success.
Cub, kind of curious about how the emotions are this week, considering 2 years ago you went into the Hall of Fame, and it'll be your first time competing back in T-Mobile since accepting the award there.
I already know I'm going to be super emotional. I can't hide it. It's just I'm somebody that always bottles things up. And whenever I compete, there's so much on the line and so much pressure you put on yourself and people, wanting you to do good, that you want to do good. And you're just afraid of having a bad performance. That's always the issue. And you put so much hard work into it, you just want to go out there and have a great performance. So emotions are always high. I know having the crowd is going to really impact that. And then being back at the T-Mobile since my Hall of Fame induction is going to feel special. And I'm excited to go out there and fight freely and know that I've cemented myself and my legacy in this sport. And at the end of the day, I get to go out there and just have fun.
You've mentioned fun and you mentioned pressure. We ask everybody that goes up there about different types of pressure. You've been in this sport for so long. Does the pressure ever change?
I think it's gotten harder, honestly, because, I try to tell people when I was 20 and I was broke and I had nothing, I was in my mind like, I'm willing to die in there. I got nothing, And now, sorry, I have a nice life. I have all these things. I have, I've maintained a certain level of greatness in the sport, and hasn't always been that great, but I've always had exciting fights, so people expect that of me now. I didn't have expectations when I was younger, and so for me to have to live up to that, I put a lot of pressure on myself, but I believe that pressure is good. You just can't let it break you. You let it, I call it, it could be, it could cripple you, or it could be your superpower. That pressure that when you're on fight night, if you absorb it, it's a superpower. And that's the whole goal, is to make it a superpower and not cripple you.
Cub right here. Talk about the UFC Hall of Fame. Another Hall of Fame that you're in is the Jackson Wink Hall of Fame, and as is Andrei Arlovsky and Michelle Watterson, who are all on this card. I guess, what does it mean to you to be fighting alongside them on Saturday and, I guess, represent that gym, which I know you guys have been away from for a while now, but still?
Yeah, and I think we're sharing a locker room, which is going to be pretty cool. Andre's somebody that I've been watching forever, and to see him, people like him and Clay Guida still going, it's like, why does everyone keep asking me about my age, But, they're an inspiration. And then Michelle, I've been around her for a lot of her journey, so it's really cool to watch. I've seen these guys and girls at their highest and at their lowest, and so you really get to know people around those times. And yeah, it's definitely going to feel special, and I know that nerves are going to be heightened at that time, and I think it's going to make for all of us to have good performances.
Cub, real quick, sorry. I know Conor McGregor leaves, departs the card, and they reshuffle it the way that they did. You can argue that it's more competitive and more interesting, maybe at the top of the card now without him. I guess, how would you assess the card that they were able to put together at the top, and what, how do you think that could potentially just play out on Saturday?
I mean, obviously everyone wants to see Conor fight, and it's unfortunate. But, I mean, honestly, I feel like the card got better. Don't want people saying I'm hating. I think it did. But ultimately, fans wanted to see him fight. I hope he does come back and healthy. But, yeah, I think the card is amazing. And they do such a good job. That's why the sport does so well, is that they can put together these big fights on the fly, and fighters are always willing to step up, and it's pretty cool to see. I'm just glad that they didn't ask me to fight on short notice. Good. All right, thanks, guys.